has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. All right, Carver High, we're talking about these Eastern play-in games tonight here in the final hour of C to C on a midweek Where Do You Hurt Wednesday.
We certainly are. West had it last night, tonight the East. And the first game, of course, will be the Sixers and the Heat. In Philadelphia. The winner will face the Knicks in the first round for a 7-game series that will begin allegedly on Saturday. Let's start with Nick Nurse, Sixers head coach. Of course, the Heat play a very physical style of basketball, but Nick Nurse says the Sixers, we ain't scared of that. Here we go.
I can remember about my last 12 games with them, and they're always hard played, super intense, physical games. So it's okay. I mean, that's what we want to be. That's what we think we are too. Like, we want to go out there and scrap with you, and sometimes you got to get ready to do it right from the jump against these guys.
Yeah, I just don't believe that. Like, what is so physical about the Miami Heat? Honestly, like, what are you talking about? Embiid's more physical than their whole team.
Allegedly play a very physical style of basketball.
Whatever.
Play that. You mentioned Joel Embiid. The Sixers and the Heat got together 4 times this year, Scotty, in the regular season. Embiid did not play in 3 of those 4 meetings. So, Eric Spoelstra, you get to see Joel Embiid allegedly at as close to 100% as he's been in a while. What do you think about that?
It's a big difference, but you can't expect it to be easy. I mean, they're a good team. We're a good team. He can score at all 3 levels. He can draw fouls. He puts a ton of pressure.
He's got a great tan
on your defense. And then offensively, defensively, he does a really good job of protecting the paint, protecting the rim for them. So we have to be intentional. But again, we are who we are at this point.
Exactly.
We are.
I'm gonna fall asleep.
We are as
driving
competitors,
the car.
and
I'm gonna crash.
We're looking forward to the game tomorrow night.
I'm gonna crash like the guy from 60 Minutes. I always refer to that crash. You can't have it. Can't be falling asleep at the wheel, Carver High. Not the limo driver, nobody.
Can't be having it at all. We do welcome in all of our radio affiliates for Coast to Coast on a Wednesday. SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM Channel 159, and Sports Byline. Great to have you with us here today. Here's the deal for the Heat, Scotty. Terry Rozier out, not going to play. Looks like everybody else is in the mix for them tonight. Sixers will have Embiid, as we just mentioned. 5.5 is the number for Philadelphia. 207.5 is the total.
Yeah, I like the over, and I like the Sixers, and I think the Heat will lose and then beat the winner of the 9-10 Hawks-Bulls matchup in Miami, and then the Heat will play the Celtics in the first round.
They certainly will. Here is your most bet player props for the Heat and the Sixers tonight. Jaime Jaquez, over 10.5 points, rebounds, assists is number 1. Maxey over 23 points, 23.5 points is 2. Maxey over 29.5 points and assists is 3. Embiid over 30.5 points, and a Jimmy Butler double-double at plus 475 on the list as the most bet props tonight as well.
I think 2, 3, and 4 hit. Nothing else.
2, 3, and 4. I like it. We can get involved with that. Why not? 2, 3, and 4 in the mix. All right, the second game, Atlanta and Chicago, the 9-10 game, which will be just after 9:30 East tip. Of course, Atlanta, Scotty, had to go for a very long stretch here without Trae Young. They do have him back in the fold for tonight, and your boy, Ice Trae, ready for a little Chicago atmosphere here on a Wednesday night. Let's go.
I mean, it's going to be a hard-fought battle in Chicago. I mean, you just got to be ready to be up there and go up there and be ready to play.
Trae
Trey, you've obviously been through this playing experience before. How do you feel like it's different this time around?
I mean, every year is different challenges and brings different things to the season and to the game. I mean, we never played in Chicago for a play-in, playoff type environment, so or a game. So I mean, it'll be fun. I mean, it's going to be something different. So we're looking forward to the challenge, though.
Listen, this guy, he does the, ice tray, freezing cold in here. He's done it everywhere. He's done it, everywhere except Chicago. So he'll do it there tonight. He's going to do it again tonight. What he does is he takes over games in these predicaments, these play-in games. This guy took him to the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, by himself on his back. He is an absolute one-and-done playoff performer in a game with all of the marbles on the table, and only one marble gets to stay on, the rest fall off. He's always the marble that stays on the table. Honestly, this guy comes up big when it matters most. That's all I know. I mean, the Hawks are so average. They are so average and fair to middling. It's not even funny. And so are the Bulls. This comes down to me to tonight. It's Ice Tray and Murray against DeRozan and White. That's it. Nobody else on the floor matters. It's going to be all about him.
He's the guy. He's the best player on the floor. There's no question about that. Hawks are getting 3.5 points here tonight. Hawks, worst team against the number all year in the NBA. 222.5 is the total. I still feel the same way I did with the other day with you. I can't trust the Bulls here to lay this 3.5. I don't care how bad the Hawks are with the number. I'm taking the guy who's the best player on the floor, Scotty. I'm taking Young.
I'm with you. There's nothing else to say.
And the over as well. I think they'll probably get some points in that game. Quickly, most bet player props for this one that I have as well. Of course, who are we going to go after? Well, Clint Capella under the 12.5 rebounds. Bruno Fernando over 11.5 points, rebounds, assists. Trae Young under 3.5 rebounds. Trae Young over 10.5 assists. Garrison Matthews over 4.5 points. That's the most bet player props tonight in that game.
There is only one thing to bet on in this game, and it's Ice Tray's points and dimes. If you bet the over 10.5 dimes, that'll hit. And he's going to throw so many lob dunks to Capella tonight, it's not even funny. And he's going to find Murray, and he's going to get his 12, 14 dimes, and he's going to score at least 35 points tonight. That's what he's going to do. This guy, I don't care how long he was injured. This guy, and really, I'm not a fan. I don't like him. But I respect his savagery. He's such an attack dog. I mean, this guy is in a one-game winner-take-all. My man shows out every time.
I'm on Young for 30 points at plus 300. That's the bet for me. Young for 30, plus 300. Let's go. Let's go, baby. That's all that matters.
Gambling
there
Kenny.
You go. The
Give me
NBA
that
for tonight.
Give me that. Give me that.
Give it right over. Give it.
People that bashed him will be eating their words this year.
Pretty heavily favored to be a first-round pick, minus 400 earlier this week. But that's not the surprise.
If you're drafting J.J. McCarthy in the first half of the first round, you clearly believe not only is he a starter, he's going to be your starter for years to come. But
a popular bet was under 3.5 wide receivers in the first round.
The tape doesn't lie, baby.
Only on SportsGrid.
Victor Hovland right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big, big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. Like, I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
89-87, 0.6 seconds remaining. Big drama here in this game. Always frustrating when your Final Four parlay and bracket gets busted, but here we go. I'm done.
Look what he is now. He's on FanDuel, plus 120. Almost even money to win the tournament. So you actually, if you did get him at plus 260, you got a pretty good, better investment than you had before. Just saying.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Rick Horrow is our sports business and legal insider from Harvard, and he was just at the Masters, and he was also caught on tape saying to a patron at the golf tournament, hey, did you see BU and BC lost in the Frozen Four? He was talking college hockey at the golf tournament because he loves Harvard so much. He was just happy those two failed in the Frozen Four.
That's really good, and not too many people would have even known that, but congratulations that you knew that. This was a very, very diverse and eclectic Masters this time. This was, they outdid themselves. It was really good. Scheffler doesn't move the excitement needle, but he sure moves the golf needle, and everybody's now talking at the end of the Masters. I was there for another day wrap-up. Is this the next Tiger Woods? Nobody knows, right? But I'm good enough with the current Scotty Scheffler. You walk around with Brooks Koepka, you feel kind of sad. You walk around with Tiger, you feel very sad, but happy. 24 cuts in a row, and he did finish. I would have thought really badly if he just couldn't finish, but would have understood it. So he sucked it up really hard. You should have seen him Saturday after he was kind of limping in. Sunday, he called on everything to play with that kid Shipley, and it was fun walking around with him for a minute, seeing him communicate with this kid. It was really fun to watch Tiger. His personality is a lot different than it was 20 years ago because no matter what he says, I think he understands he just can't win.
So let me ask you, back in the day, we've seen this before. Nick Price, Nick Faldo. We've seen guys that have had 2 and 3 year runs like Scott Scheffler, where one or two guys dominated golf for a 2-year period or 3-year run where they won everything that mattered, and then they went away like everyone else. Not their brilliance, not their majors, not their wins, not their money, but they didn't keep winning them. So now you're saying at the beginning here that people wonder, is he the next Tiger Woods, that he's won 2 and 3 years? Do you believe that his luck will run dry like all the rest of them have?
Well, but when we look, let's maybe. That's a great answer, maybe. But let's remember when you and I were talking about this maybe a few years ago, and it was fill in the blank. That was Jordan Spieth. And it didn't happen. Everybody thought Jordan Spieth would not lose. Look at the bet props and look at the bets 8 days ago before the Masters started. Scotty Scheffler versus the field. You take the field, you lose. How many times that happened? So an overwhelming favorite. John Rahm separated himself. He was going to be the only guy. He didn't play really well. A lot of people were rooting for DeChambeau. Then he went back to his old habits, and that's gone. And so a lot of discussion about Scheffler. We're never going to know that. But a lot of discussion about LIV versus the Tour. After the first day, when all the media tried to play one against another, just a normal golf tournament. But it proved how important it is to get back to the old days where you don't have a LIV Tour for the most part. You don't have a PGA Tour for the most part. Wouldn't it be great if we had a field like this one we just had at 90% of the tournaments? It's not going to happen for a while, but it may happen soon.
All right, real quick, because I got a lot to talk about with you. I want to ask this question in a 5-second answer. I know how much you love the Masters and going to Augusta, but are you still going to tell me that it's better than the Open Championship?
No. I'm not going to tell you that, but I'm going to tell you it's close.
Because
it's close.
It isn't.
So
it isn't.
Yeah, it is. You want to go back? You got your 5 seconds, because I'll tell you it is as many times as you tell me it isn't.
No, it isn't.
So Open, it is. Open, Masters, then the other guys.
Thank
is that
you.
okay? Can you accept that?
That's all I wanted, was that you've been over there, and there's nothing like it, including Augusta. And then they sell this Augusta like it's the only tournament that matters in the world. And that Open Championship it's so diverse and so different and so unique that they play at these different great, brilliant golf courses than the same one every year. I think it's just fantastic. All right, UFC 300 was a massive hit for that organization.
Yes, it was. And mainstream hit for that organization. Because remember, they're also talking about long-term TV deals. And, Fox kind of kicked it off. CBS started crossing the Rubicon. And now the outliers, do you get Amazon pay-per-view or Google or app or somebody else with those special fights and keep the mainstream like every other league seems to be doing? But they're drawing. The pay-per-view is high. Viewership is high. And what do you need? You need continual fresh faces. And until that next set of fresh faces, they look like they're coming from 300. In the meantime, here comes Conor McGregor for 303. So Dana White is living large.
So I think the only thing that you could say bad about Gary Bettman's tenure as commissioner of the NHL has been their handling of the Arizona Coyotes. And now they're finally going to move to Salt Lake and rid us of that nightmare failure in the desert.
Well, I wouldn't rule it a failure because it may have taken too long. I get it.
It was a failure.
But you remember, but it wasn't a failure.
Yeah,
it was a failure. Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, no, it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I will tell you why it's not. Because he's moved him to Salt Lake. It's a second team in the Mountain Time Zone. He's, aligning with the guys with the Jazz and Delta Center. That's a good thing. But look what's going to happen at the end of the week. They're going to probably give a commitment to Marullo, the guy that's had the team the latest, to say, you got 5 years. If you can do it, Arena, in 5 years, we will promise you an expansion franchise. So they get one back. You could say it didn't work. It's not going to work again. But look, Gary's track record is I'm not giving up on a market unless I absolutely have to. Probably giving him too many chances, and they may have given Atlanta too many chances. I can guarantee one thing, Atlanta's not going to get a third chance. I think we know that.
Well, that's not what I'm hearing. They're going to give those rich white people in Forsyth County what they want, which I think is a colossal failure. When you fail twice and you're giving them a third strike, usually we know what happens on that third strike. You strike out. All right, let me ask you, what was bigger, the Ohtani interpreter stealing $16 million or Porter getting banned for life in the NBA for throwing games and betting on the NBA?
I think it's Porter, because if you do that stupidly and then you admit it and you're not a household name, maybe you're, I would say it's fair, number 8, number 9 on the roster. Could have been a little bigger. But he's not going to have his chance. He'll maybe reinstated, but a lifetime ban, that's a pretty long time. Ohtani is big because it could have been bringing down the biggest superstar since Babe Ruth. But everybody, Justice Department, all of the enforcement agencies, notwithstanding an attempt to try as hard as they could to clear or not, they've so far they've cleared him. The interpreter, one of the most stupid in the history of the world, he called in. He used the name. It's a lot of money, but nobody can trace it to Ohtani in any way, shape, or form yet, and I think never.
So the MLS, they're going to build a stadium in Queens near Citi Field for the New York Football Club. What do you think of that?
Right by is Willis Point. Right by that old car you abandoned on the way to the last.
That
Mets
car
game.
was on fire. I had nothing to do with
Yeah.
it.
Well, yeah, you did, because you should have called the fire department or driven it off.
I should have, but I didn't.
But
I went to LaGuardia and I flew to California and I drank the entire time.
That's perfect, because you know exactly what I'm talking about by where that is. There is the best case for urban renewal ever right there. $600 million stadium. It's going to be right near the U.S. Tennis Center, right near Citi Field. I still don't believe it yet because it's New York, but they're making marvelous progress. And by 2026, 2027, they're going to have their building.
How about the Indiana Fever? They're not having trouble selling tickets.
No, they're not. They're not having trouble selling packages or corporate sponsorship. And now the big issue is, why does Caitlin Clark make a small percentage of the money that NBA stars do? I saw CNN last night, and I'm thinking, because you idiots, the revenues are off. Men's soccer, fairly equal. Serena makes more than otherwise in tennis. So we understand the answer to that question. Maybe in a couple of years, the disparity won't be as big. We'll have to see.
The final question, I have 5 seconds. Did you get Carver High a Masters hat?
Yes, but if he asks me directly or indirectly one more time, I'm taking it. I'm going to give it to my yard man.
Give the hat to Duke.
People that bashed him will be eating their words this year.
Pretty heavily favored to be a first-round pick, minus 400 earlier this week. But that's not the surprise.
If you're drafting J.J. McCarthy in the first half of the first round, you clearly believe not only is he a starter, he's going to be your starter for years to come. But
a popular bet was under 3.5 wide receivers in the first round.
The tape doesn't lie, baby.
Only on SportsGrid.
Victor Hovland right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big, big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. Like, I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
89-87, 0.6 seconds remaining. Big drama here in this game. Always frustrating when your Final Four parlay and bracket gets busted, but here we go. I'm done.
Look what he is now. He's on FanDuel, plus 120. Almost even money to win the tournament. So you actually, if you did get him at plus 260, you got a pretty good, better investment than you had before. Just saying.
Sports Rage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Haro's got to be on the Masters store website right now ordering that hat. I bet any amount of money I'll take the over on that. Every time he's ordering Carver High, either that or he'll do what I suggested, A or B, ordering now, or B, washing the old retro one and telling him it's a retro one and sending that out. BetMGM Grand Slam Jackpot promotion every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday through the season. Introducing the MLB Grand Slam Jackpot. I love this thing. A weekly bet and get promotion at BetMGM. Place a $10 or more wager on any player to hit a home run every weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If the player hits a grand slam on that day, they can win the $50,000 daily prize or a share of the prize with every other winning bettor. Go to BetMGM.com for all the details, or the BetMGM app, and get in on the MLB Grand Slam Jackpot. And a lot of guys have been hitting grand slams on the weekend. Pick the right one and you might get 50 large from BetMGM. You got to be kidding me. It's unbelievable the promotions they're running, these people. All right, Carver High. I had my bowels shifted last night watching hockey. It was an awful night for me. I got to tell you, when it was 4-3 Montreal and there was 50 seconds left, I walked into the kitchen and I went, I just need Montreal to win, and then I need the Flyers to score a goal in the last period and win 2-1, and then the Penguins will beat the Islanders tomorrow night at the horse track, and everything's going to be gravy. 20 minutes later, I walked in. I was like, I don't even want dinner.
Yeah, the Eastern Conference playoff spots in hockey were settled last night. I'm going to painfully play this for you. So it's a 1-1 game with the Capitals and the Flyers late in the third period. The Capitals needed a win, and they would have clinched the spot. The Flyers needed a win, but in regulation, in order to stay alive in the Eastern Conference race. So what does John Tortorella got to do? 3 minutes left, tie game. I can't go to overtime. I got to pull the goalie on Caps Radio.
They have to beat Washington in regulation. Through center, it's Oshie. Oshie working wide. Fires and scores! Washington has the 1-goal lead to protect with 3 minutes to go.
Steps around the D. I told you it was going to be a sneak attack, and it was on the attack of the Flyers coming up the ice, trying to sneak them out. But the Capitals quickly turned it over, and T.J. Oshie, with his head up, realizes that the net's empty.
I'll say this much for them. I think they'll lose to the Rangers, but the games are going to be really close because the Capitals play defense and they get goaltending. Their whole team is predicated on low scoring and 2-1 games, 3-2 games. They don't give up goals, and they play great defense. That's why they made it, and the Red Wings and Penguins didn't. And I think that everyone thinks the Rangers is going to be so easy because they have all those points and all those wins, and it all changes when you go into the playoffs and somebody clamps down on your ass.
It will not be easy for them for those reasons that you just listed. The Washington is going to try to turn that series into a rock fight. And there's going to be nights in that series where it is 1-1.
That's right.
And you're halfway through the first overtime, and Washington is going to win a game on some fluke goal halfway through, and they're going to end up, they're going to win games in this series. This is not going to be a smash job in the least. Of course, a lot of people, Scotty, in Detroit and Pittsburgh were not happy with John Tortorella for pulling the goalie. I guess they maybe at the moment didn't really understand what was happening. Here was Torts being asked about pulling the goalie in the tie game.
I got info on the Detroit game right after they scored their empty netter. I think it happened pretty close together. But I was pulling him. I'm pulling him, and that was the right time to pull him. Didn't know anything was going on with Detroit at that time, but immediately after that, our video guys told us that Detroit just went to overtime.
Look, it is what it is. It's just the way it ended, and I'm bummed out because I have absolutely no interest now at all in any team whatsoever. My team is gone and done and not playing for the second straight year. This is a team that wins Stanley Cups. Whether you believe that or not, count all 5 of them and then have a conversation with me. So they have been one of the greatest teams in the NHL since 1990. Let's just face facts. They've won 5 cups since 1990. So them not being in the playoffs to me is just, and frankly, the Red Wings as well. The Red Wings made it 23 straight years and or something like that. And then not having those 2 teams in the playoffs, I think, is a little bit barren. But I respect everyone that earned it and got in and won. You got to win and get the points. I think this stems from, in my opinion, Mike, too many nights, paycheck games. You just don't care if you win or lose when you play 82 games. You're just like going through the motions. These guys go city to city, to game to game, to city to night, to game to game to game, and they don't care if they win or lose. They get paid a lot of money, and they don't care when they lose. And that is all there is to it. And then all of a sudden, with 10 games left in the season, they care. Well, it's an 82-game season, and what you need to do is start winning from the jump and play consistent hockey like the Rangers, like the Edmonton Oilers, like teams that are in the play that understand that you have to win for 7 months. It's not let's wake up with 10 to go and see if we can get in last second. Then things like this happen to you. I'm sick and tired of it. I got to tell you, I'm sick and tired of it. Them not being in the playoffs, it irks me to the point of I think Sullivan's been a great coach, and I have a hard time saying I think they should let him go.
Well, they, of course, will play their last game tonight. I'll give you those numbers in a moment.
They
The other
shouldn't even
2
show
things
up
that
for
were
the game. They shouldn't even
show
play.
up at the horse track. The 2 other things that were significant, Scotty, that changed matchups last night. The Bruins lost for the second night in a row to Ottawa, and the Panthers beat the Leafs. So that actually, in my mind, gave us 2 rivalry matchups, which is outstanding. That put Florida as first, so now they will play the Lightning in the first round, and Boston's going to play Toronto in the first round. So 4 teams that hate each other are going to be playing each other. Panthers minus 175 for the series. Lightning plus $145. They've played a few times over the last few years. A lot of hatred with these 2.
Yeah, they hate each other, and the Panthers are better than the Lightning these days. I'll take the Panthers.
Yep. And the other one, of course, Toronto finally got out of the first round last year, right, Scotty? But they've always had a very hard time with the Boston Bruins, and now they have to play them again in the first round. A pick'em series, though, right now, minus 110, both sides for Toronto and Boston.
Boston always wins this series, and that's why I'll take the Leafs. I think that I watched them play, and I've seen the Bruins play 100 times, but I went and watched the Leafs play, and they're dangerous, man. They are dangerous. If Boston gets in the penalty box in this series, because no one wants to take penalties in the playoffs, so guys don't play dirty, they play smart, and they play focused hockey, and they don't commit as many penalties. I'm telling you, the difference in this series for me will be the Leafs power play. I think their power play is really I think the Oilers and the Leafs have the 2 best power plays. Now, I'm sure I'm wrong with those numbers, but what I've seen, the optic test, the Edmonton Oilers and the Toronto Maple Leafs power plays are unstoppable.
Solo home run for Juan Soto here in Toronto, Scotty, as they get this game to 4-2 in the top of the 8th. It would be nice now maybe if you saw one of those from Judge as well, who's been very quiet here to start the season. The Rangers, as we mentioned, are going to play Washington in the first round. They are going to be heavy favorites here, minus 375 for the series. Caps plus 280 for the series.
The Rangers cannot afford to screw this up. They've got to win this series, but I am telling you, they are going to have trouble scoring goals because this team will clamp down on them like, back in the day, like the trap days of the NHL. This is going to be slim pickings. And I think the Rangers are very dangerous. I think the Rangers are capable of winning the Stanley Cup, but they're going to have their hands full in the first round. And as they say, by the time that series is over, they're going to be all kinds of bruises all over the body.
Certainly are. The other side of the tree there in the Metro, also a lot of heavy lumber, as Carolina's going to play the Islanders. Third time in the last 6 seasons that these two are playing in the playoffs. Carolina's beaten them every time. They're minus 350, Islanders plus 260.
I think the Islanders have been playing great hockey, but the Carolina Hurricanes are flat out better than them.
They certainly are, and the Islanders never beat them. Islanders have won a lot of series the last 6 years. None of them have been against that team. Only one series in the West is set. Winnipeg and Colorado. Avalanche minus 135. Jets plus $1.15. Jets are going to have home ice in this as well, Scotty.
I like the Jets to upset the Avalanche in the series. And remember, they played them Sunday, 7-0 Winnipeg. And don't tell me that it was just like a joke or something. They did it in Denver, 7-0 in Denver at the Ball Arena. They mean business, and they have the better goalie. And frankly, they have the better team.
They certainly do. We'll come back. There's 4 games tonight. Austin Matthews is going to play, going for 70 against the Lightning in Tampa. So I'll give you those numbers for the 4 games when we come back.
Yeah, prop that. He'll score the 70th tonight as sure as I'm sitting here. Make a bet right now on Matthews.
People that bashed him will be eating their words this year.
Pretty heavily favored to be a first-round pick, minus 400 earlier this week. But that's not the surprise.
If you're drafting J.J. McCarthy in the first half of the first round, you clearly believe not only is he a starter, he's going to be your starter for years to come. But
a popular bet was under 3.5 wide receivers in the first round.
The tape doesn't lie, baby.
Only on SportsGrid.
Victor Hovland right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big, big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. Like, I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
89-87, 0.6 seconds remaining. Big drama here in this game. Always frustrating when your Final Four parlay and bracket gets busted, but here we go. I'm done.
Look what he is now. He's on FanDuel, plus 120. Almost even money to win the tournament. So you actually, if you did get him at plus 260, you got a pretty good, better investment than you had before. Just saying.
Sports Rage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Carver High hit that Royals game 4-2 in game one of the doubleheader, and they were down 2-1. I told you they'd come back and win that game. They did. Second game's underway, scoreless. I told you I got the Cubs going. They're up. They're having a big inning in the eighth. 5-2, they lead at Arizona. Runners on first and second with one out. Bellinger had the big hit to make it 4-2. Then he got another single to make it 5-2. And I also have Blackburn, the Pirate, your boy for the A's at the Ashtray, up 6-3 on the Cards in the bottom of the seventh out in lovely Oakland, California.
Yeah, what a couple days for the Nationals, getting 2 out of 3 in L.A. Against the Dodgers. That's a great job by them. A 2-0 win today out at Chavez Ravine. All right, there's 4 hockey games tonight. I have a small storyline in each one, honestly, except the first one. The Penguins and the Islanders at the horse track. There's really nothing going on here with, unfortunately, the Penguins being eliminated. The Islanders will play the Carolina Hurricanes this weekend. Penguins minus 130, plus $110 for the Isles, who are resting a couple guys. I know Barzell's not playing, etc. Flat 6 is the total.
Well, I mean, you'd have to have a shrink to not take the Islanders because the Penguins are glad bag city. When they lost last night, the Capitals scoring that empty netter, guys were already making their plane reservations for the Caribbean. It's over for them. They're done. Put a fork in them. There's no reason to even play tonight. Just give the game to the Islanders. Give them the money. Give us plus 110 or give us death.
No doubt about that.
And I hope that chick
Toronto
doesn't call me from the Penguins for season tickets again because I'm going to slam the phone on her face. Stop calling me.
We know already who Toronto and Tampa are going to be playing in the first round of the playoffs, but they will get together at Amalie tonight. Minus 145 for the Lightning, plus $120 for the Leafs, and 6.5. The significance here tonight, Scotty, Austin Matthews is going for his 70th goal of the season. Nikita Kucherov looking for his 100th assist of the season. So a couple of personal milestones for stars on both sides.
Parlay both of them together, and the Lightning will win the game. But I definitely think that they're both getting their milestone tonight.
I agree, and I think that once they both get them, you probably won't see much of them on the ice after that. So They will cash those for you when we move on. The Stars will look to wrap up home ice in the Western Conference. We'll have it no matter who they play with a win at home against the Blues. They're minus 250 and a flat 6 here. I expect the Stars will do that, Scotty.
Oh, unequivocally.
And tonight we know it's going to be the final game at the Mullet Arena, the college rink, for the Coyotes as they have the Edmonton Oilers coming into town. Minus 175 for the Oilers, plus 145 for the Coyotes. Big turnout expected for everybody to say goodbye for possibly the last time the Coyotes playing in the state of Arizona.
Oh, stop. The reason they're moving to Utah, to Salt Lake, is because they were stupid enough to play their games in a 5,000-seat college rink for a year. Does that not just sum it up for you? The NHL in Arizona was such a failure. No one likes hearing this. Too bad. It was such a failure there that you might as well have played at a high school rink because they played at a college rink and they don't even do they even have a college hockey program? I don't think they do. I think it's just for open skate for lovers. People go down to the rink to skate with their girlfriend. There's what do they call it? Figure skating? There's no hockey there. Arizona State. I mean, they don't even play basketball or football there. Why the hell would they play hockey? the NHL in Arizona was an absolute joke. The only reason that Rick won't say it is because he's best friends with Gary. And I'm good friends with Gary, too. And it's the only thing Gary screwed up in his entire career was two things. One, Arizona. Two, he won't admit that there's such a thing as CTE. Gary's living in a time warp that he won't admit that guys get brain damage. I mean, half of the guys that got it in the NHL have killed themselves. Is that not enough for you, Gary?
I agree with you on Gary. I will tell you, people have told me that the Arizona State hockey program is on the rise. It is one of the rising hockey programs in the country. They went 24-8-6 this year. They are getting better.
Those were
they
fake.
have changed
Those
hockey.
were fake box scores.
Changed hockey forever in the state of Arizona as the
Sun
Coyotes
Devil
will
hockey
head
team
to
was
Salt
better
Lake
than the
City.
Coyotes. They beat them in a scrimmage last Friday night.
Yeah, it's possible. It's very possible. Normally, when you are out doing the community service on Wednesdays, we do have golf Wednesdays on Coast to Coast, and we have to. I did a bunch of the golf Wednesdays spots yesterday, but I didn't give the picks. I saved that for you. The RBC Heritage at Harbortown. I mean, let's go. Hilton Head, South Carolina. They're playing for the tartan jacket this week. The plaid always goes to the winner here. Unfortunately, Scotty Scheffler is going to show up, Scott, because it is an elevated event, and he's 4-1 again to win. That's the chalk there at the top. Xander, Ludwig, Rory, Patrick Cantlay, yada, yada, yada. But we're not taking any of those guys, Scotty. Absolutely not. I mean, we're going to go after them with some heavy, heavy action here. Willie Z at 30-1. Will Zalatoris. We will start with him. Sahith Tagala at 40-1 this week. Now, I know some of these other prices have changed, but Scotty, like you, that's why I shop at 7 a.m. on Monday mornings. We got the Irish Bear at 80-1 this week at Hilton Head. Eric Cole at 110-1. Tom Kim at 110-1. And Lucas Glover at 120-1. RBC, let's go.
Oh, Lucas Glover played pretty well, right, lately. So I think that's a great bet. Those are great bets, no doubt. My buddy is going to Hilton Head, and he's going at least twice to the golf tournament. I know for a fact. So I've been there. I played that course. It's a great spot. I know a lot of people retire there and live in Hilton Head. It's a cool spot, no doubt.
Now, I've hit this the last 2 years, Scotty, the outright at the RBC. I had Matthew Fitzpatrick last year. I had Jordan Spieth the year before that. I didn't want to take them this year, but I had to take them somehow, right? So we're going to take them for top 10s. Fitzpatrick gets top 10 at plus 230. Jordan Spieth, I actually did 20 because I think he is a little hurt, like Keith Stewart was telling me yesterday. So even money for Jordan with the 20. We're going to go A-Bear for a top 5 at 300, and Patrick Cantlay, who you know I don't like, but I think he's playing a little bit better, a top 10 at plus 160. Ben On for a top 20 at plus 190.
Ben Hur?
Ben Hur on. There it is for the top 20. And the first round leader bombs. We never take the favorites for the first round leader, but there's only like 68 golfers here this week. There's no cut with the elevated event. Taylor Moore, 45-1. Captain Kirk at 45-1.
Oh.
Adam Don't Shank It at 55-1. Tom Shankopotamus. Hoagie Sandwich at 60-1. Eric Van Rooyen at 65-1. And a favorite of me and Cam's, Jake Afternoon Nap at 80-1 this week for a first round leader bomb. Let's go at the RBC.
You cashed more tickets than Smiley.
Smiley's been good the last couple weeks since he joined the program. He's had a lot of fun.
Not this week. You're hitting all the top first-round leaders,
hitting all the top,
top 10s, all the top 20s, and tournament winners. All of it's cashing. All of it.
I plan on keeping my esteemed record at Hilton Head up this week as we go after another winner. We're going to try to make it 3 in a row. All right, I wanted to get this in before we left. Did you see this ESPN report this morning about Bill Belichick and his quest to get that Atlanta Falcons job that all those great investigative reporters at ESPN did? I thought my favorite part was Robert Kraft told Arthur Blank that Belichick isn't trustworthy and that he was and they basically nobody in the Falcon organization ever wanted Belichick to get the job. Now, I personally think, Scotty, that's because he probably would have went in there and never let them do anything, which is what would have happened. They would have said, you lose with these guys all the time. So I don't want to hear from them. I think that's probably why those guys didn't want Belichick to be there.
Well, look, Van Atta's a great reporter. Usually his stories are dead on. So he's broken tons of just gigantic stories over the years. He's a great writer and a great investigative journalist. I'll give him super credit. But I'll say the thing that was more intriguing to me, two things. One, there was talk of his age again, that at 72, like, what's he going to coach? 2 years? So what's the point? You're going to have a guy for 2 years, he'd be 74, 75 years old, and that nobody wants 70-year-olds doing anything anymore in sports. That's just all there is to it. I keep telling you this week after week after week after week after week, and no one, does anything about it. Like, it's simple. No one wants these old geezers doing anything. That's all there is to it. The other thing that stood out to me was, more importantly, is that, and I believe one of them, not the other two, that he would coach in Dallas or Philly. It's the job of the New York Giants, coaching the Giants. Now, listen, he's got a history with the New York Football Giants. His entire career started with the New York Giants and coaching Lawrence Taylor. I think, well, first of all, he's a better coach than Brian Daboll. And I think that if he doesn't win this year, they're going to fire this Daboll guy. And they're not going to give him – he had one good year, one bad year. He has another bad year. It's gone. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Mara and Tisch gave Bill Belichick the reins to the Giants. Believe me, they love him. Now, I've heard that Jerry Jones loves him. I don't believe for 1 minute he's going there, and I definitely am negative 5,000 on Philadelphia that they will ever offer Bill Belichick the job of head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. But I do believe the Giants might just do it. But I don't think he's getting a job anywhere else. So it's that or nothing. He's not getting a head coaching job anytime soon. I know he's doing draft stuff on ESPN and things like that. I think that's where his future is.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Giant job is the one to watch because we've seen him in the past on all those documentaries and the specials, crying, walking through the tunnel of the old Giants stadium before they tore it down. I spent so many hours in there. The stuff with Parcells. He would love to be the New York Giant head coach to finish out his career. That's where Brian Daboll better go win some games this year, or else he's the guy that's going to be at the expense of Bill Belichick being it, because Mara would put him in there in a second. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields take part in day one of the Steelers' offseason workouts. A new regime of Steeler quarterback play is officially underway in Pittsburgh, Scotty. I know you're
all hands on deck. Everyone's showing up. Unlike the Cowboys, not one star player showed up for their voluntaries.
Nobody. None of these wide receivers either. Lamb, Jefferson, Cortland Sutton, none of these wide receivers want to show
nobody.
up. Nobody's there. Trevor Lawrence says he's talked to the Jaguars about an extension, but it isn't a top priority right now. Maybe the top priority should be winning. That should be the top priority right now.
Maybe they should focus on how bad he was last year.
They could probably do that as well. That's probably something else they could focus on. You talked about this with DeCourcy earlier, but Omar Ballo getting that $1.2 million bag to go to Indiana. How outstanding is that? The big NIL check.
Maybe I'll get my Ballo t-shirt when I'm down in Bloomington this weekend.
Go pick one up. Jeremy Roach is leaving Duke through the transfer portal. He's been there forever. Years.
Why not?
People that bashed him will be eating their words this year. Pretty heavily favored to be a first-round pick, minus 400 earlier this week. But that's not the surprise.
If you're drafting J.J. McCarthy in the first half of the first round, you clearly believe not only is he a starter, he's going to be your starter for years to come. But
a popular bet was under 3.5 wide receivers in the first round.
The tape doesn't lie, baby.
Only on SportsGrid.
Victor Hovland right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big, big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. Like, I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
89-87, 0.6 seconds remaining. Big drama here in this game. Always frustrating when your Final Four parlay and bracket gets busted, but here we go. I'm done.
Look what he is now. He's on FanDuel, plus 120. Almost even money to win the tournament. So you actually, if you did get him at plus 260, you got a pretty good, better investment than you had before. Just saying.
Sports Rage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Have runners on second and third with one out and down a run in the ninth at Toronto. Oh, they just tied it. The Oregon's way better than the Foghorn Carver High. Oregon DB Dalen Austin arrested after a fatal hit and run out in Eugene. Of course, earlier this week, Hall of Fame manager Whitey Herzog, one of the greatest of all time, passed away at 92. Your boy, Whitey Herzog, a legend. Purse-snatching bully punches a 68-year-old woman in the face on church stairs in New York. Then, when she tumbles down the stairs, he leaves her for dead and steals her car. That's how you finish the deal. Stranger stabs a 60-year-old man in the head with a screwdriver on a New York City bus because the guy was playing drums in his lab. Guy just wasn't having it back in the back of the bus and came up and pierced his skull with a screwdriver. Crazed woman shoots a random driver on a Florida interstate because God told her to do it during the total eclipse. Here's God again getting involved in people's crimes. Do this, do that. Let this team win and not that team. He did it to my Penguins last night too, this guy upstairs. Mom charged with the murder of 5-year-old twins found vomiting and foaming at the mouth in her New York City apartment. It's such a wonderful city that I live in. Son arrested after an elderly mom was found fused to the bedsheet, covered in fecal matter and maggots. Now that is just a fantastic description of a movie, but it's real. Cruise ship dancer from New York City arrested on child porn charges. Notice all the New York stories today of crazy people. Mother who pushed her kids from a moving car, killed her partner, was an astrology influencer Disturbed by the eclipse as well. Here's another wacko. GTD is next. Go to FerrallOnTheBench.com for everything because chicks dig me. We'll see you tomorrow on Coast to Coast.